And it came to pass after this that David inquired of the Lord, saying, Shall I go up into any of the cities of Judah? And the Lord said unto him, Go up. And David said, Whither shall I go up? And he said, Unto Hebron. So David went up thither, and his 2 wives also, Ahinoam the Jezreelites, and Abigail, Nabal's wife, the Carmelite. And his men that were with him did David bring up, every man with his household, and they dwelt in the cities of Hebron. And the men of Judah came, and there they anointed David king over the house of Judah. And they told David, saying that the men of Jabesh Gilead were they that buried Saul. And David sent messengers unto the men of Jabesh Gilead, and said unto them, Blessed be ye of the Lord, that ye have showed this kindness unto your Lord, even unto Saul, and have buried him. And now the Lord show kindness in truth unto you, and I also will equip you this kindness, because ye have done this thing. Therefore now let your hands be strengthened, and be you valiant, for your master Saul is dead. And also the house of Judah have anointed me king over them. But Abner, the son of Ner, captain of Saul's host, took Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, and brought him over to Mahanaim, and made him king over Gilead, and over the Ashmerites, and over Jezreel, and over Ephraim, and over Benjamin, and over all Israel. Ishbosheth, Saul's son, was 40 years old when he began to reign over Israel, and reigned 2 years. But the house of Judah followed David. And the time that David was king in Hebron over the house of Judah was 7 years and 6 months. And Abner, the son of Ner, and the servants of Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, went out from Mahanaim to Gibeon. And Joab, the son of Zeruiah, and the servants of David went out, and met together by the pool of Gibeon. And they sat down, the one on the one side of the pool, and the other on the other side of the pool. And Abner said to Joab, Let the young men now arise and play before us. And Joab said, Let them arise. Then there arose and went over by number 12 of Benjamin, which pertained to Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, and 12 of the servants of David. And they caught every one his fellow by the head, and thrust his sword in his fellow's side. So they fell down together, wherefore that place was called Helkath Hasharim, which is in Gibeon. And there was a very sore battle that day, and Abner was beaten, and the men of Israel before the servants of David. And there were 3 sons of Zeruiah, there Joab, and Abashi, and Asriel. And Asriel was as lightfoot as a wild roe. And Asriel pursued after Abner, and in going he turned not to the right hand nor to the left from following Abner. Then Abner looked behind him and said, Art thou Asriel? And he answered, I am. And Abner said to him, Turn thee aside to thy right hand or to thy left, and lay thee hold on one of the young men, and take thee his armor. But Asriel would not turn aside from following of him. And Abner said again to Asriel, Turn thee aside from following me. Wherefore should I smite thee to the ground? How then should I hold up my face to Joab thy brother? Howbeit he refused to turn aside. Wherefore Abner with the hinder end of the spear smote him under the 5th rib, that the spear came out behind him, and he fell down there and died. In the same place, and it came to pass that as many as came to the place where Asriel fell down and died stood still. Joab also, the Asheri, pursued after Abner, and the sun went down when they were come to the hill of Amorah, that lieth before Gai, by the way of the wilderness of Gibeon. And the children of Benjamin gathered themselves together after Abner, and became one troop, and stood on the top of an hill. Then Abner called to Joab, and said, Shall the sword devour forever? Knowest thou not that it will be bitterness in the later end? How long shall it be then, ere thou bid the people return from the following their brethren? And Joab said, As God liveth, unless thou hadst spoken, surely then in the morning the people had gone up every one from following his brother. So Joab blew a trumpet, and all the people stood still, and pursued after Israel no more, neither fought they any more. And Abner and his men walked all that night through the plain, and passed over the Jordan, and went through all of Bethron, and they came to Mahanaim. And Joab returned from following Abner, and when he had gathered all the people together, there lacked of David's servants 19 men in Asriel. But the servants of David had smitten of Benjamin, and of Abner's men, so that 360 men died. And they took up Asriel, and buried him in the sepulchre of his father, which was in Bethlehem. And Joab and his men went all that night, and they came to Hebron at break of day. David had paid due respect to the memory of Saul, his prince, and Jonathan, his friend, and what he did was as much his praise as theirs. He is now considering what is to be done next. Saul is dead. Now therefore David arise. 1. By direction from God, he went up to Hebron, and was there anointed king. 2. He returned thanks to the man of Jabesh Gilead for bearing Saul, verses 5 through 7. 3. Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, is set up in opposition to him, verses 8 through 11. 4. A warm encounter happens between David's party and Ishbosheth, in which 12 of each side engaged hand in hand and were all slain, verses 12 through 16. 2. Saul's party was beaten, verse 17. 3. Asriel on David's side was slain by Abner, verses 18 to 23. 4. Joab and Abner's request sounds a retreat, verses 24 to 28. 5. Abner makes the best of his way, verse 29, and loss of both sides is computed, verses 30 to 32. So that here we have an account of a civil war in Israel, which in process of time ended in a complete settlement of David on the throne.